Good afternoon, boys and girls. Today we're going to be working on lesson 42. So let's go ahead and begin. Touch the first row in part 1. Let's see if you remember a meaning for each of those affixes. Touch the letters UN. What's one meaning of un? Get ready. Not. Touch the letters RE. What's one meaning of re? Get ready. Again. Touch the letters DIS. What's one meaning of dis? Get ready. Not. Touch the first word in column A. First word, what word? Removed. Next word, uncertain. Next word, what word? Responded. Let's look at column B, boys and girls. First word, what word? Unbelievably. Next word, what word? Discovered. Next word, what word? Replied. Let's go ahead and look at part 2. What's the underlined part? X. What word? Excellent. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Surface. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Thorns. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Pressure. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Enforce. Next word. What's the underlined part? Lee. What word? Peacefully. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Shaped. Next word. What's the underlined part? Shun. What word? Solution. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Decision. Next word. What's the underlined part? What word? Advice. Let's go ahead and look at part number 3. We're going to talk about what those words mean. Word number 1. What word? Prevented. If you kept something from happening, you prevented it. Touch word number 2. What word? Barge. A barge is a long, flat, bottom boat used for carrying things. Touch word number 3. What word? Minnows. Minnows are small fish used for bait. Word number 4. What word? Evaporate. When water is heated and goes into the air, it evaporates. Touch word number 5. What word? Remarked. Remarked means commented. Let's go ahead and look at part 4. Let's go over those words. First word, batches. Next word, what word? Paddles. Next word, what word? Smoldering. Next word, what word? Exceptionally. Next word, what word? 100. Next word, what word? Tiller. Next word, what word? Occasionally. Next word, what word? Narrow. Next word, what word? Quite. Next word, what word? Cove. Next word, what word? Quiet. Next word, what word? Prevented. Next word, what word? Quit. Next word, what word? Signaled. Next word, what word? Cut. Next word, what word? Argued. Next word, what word? Peace. Next word, what word? Obviously. Next word, what word? Stretch. Next word, what word? Attached. Next word, what word? Constructing. Next word, what word? Hooked. Next word, what word? Smiling. Let's go ahead and begin with our story. The title of the story is Visitors. As the days got hotter, Bruce and the others planted seeds. First, they had to make new tools for plowing the land. Then they planted the seeds they had found during the winter. After the seeds had been planted, the people waited. Some plants came up, but unfortunately they had bitter stems and bitter roots. Everybody agreed that there would not be good for crop. The grass on the island grew in little patches. However, these patches were far apart. Between them was bare ground. There were a few bitter plants growing among the dead trees, but there weren't many of them. There were some other plants that grew exceptionally slow. Then one day, one man came running to the shelter. He yelled, "A boat! There's a boat coming to the island!" Bruce and the others ran down to the beach. The boat was over 30 feet long and very narrow. The people on the island jumped in the water and swam out to meet the boat. The people in the boat were smiling and waving their paddles. When the boat was on the beach and everybody had greeted the people in the boat, a woman from the boat said, "We have come to look for fish. We have no fish near our island." "We have lots of fish," Santa said. The woman said, "We will give you gold for your fish." Bruce said, "We don't have any need for gold. Do you have anything that we need?" "All we have with us is a boat full of bananas. That is the only thing that grows on our island." Bruce and the others smiled. "Bananas?" Bruce said. "We will trade for bananas. We will give you 1 fish for every 5 bananas." "That is fair," the woman said. As she started to count out 500 bananas, Bruce counted out 100 fish and the trade was made. When the visitors left the island, they said that they would come back within 2 weeks with at least 200,000 bananas. After the boat left, Santa said, "We must start catching fish. We will need 400 fish for the trade." "We will need a place to keep those fish alive," Bruce remarked. "If we kill them, they will all be rotten by the time 2 weeks have passed." That made sense to the others. Santa said, "I discovered a narrow cove on the north end of the island that will make an excellent sea cage." The little cove was shaped like the letter U. "This cove is perfect," Bruce said. "If we stretch a net across the mouth of the cove, the fish will be prevented from swimming away." After fixing the sea cage, the people began constructing more nets. They made nets for catching small fish that would be used as bait for large fish. The people made fish hooks from the thorns that they removed from dead bushes. They attached minnows to the thorns, and they attached the thorns to a line. A piece of wood attached to the line worked like a bobber. When it went underwater, it signaled that a fish had been hooked. The people continued to fish night and day. However, after 1 week had passed, the group had caught only 65 fish. Bruce announced, "We've got to figure out how to catch fish at a faster rate, and I think I have an idea. The fish are not near the shore, therefore they must be out in the deep water. We're obviously got to go out and get them. How are we going to do that?" one woman asked. "We'll build a little fishing barge," Bruce replied. "We'll make the barge big enough for 2 people who will go out and catch fish. They'll store the fish in the barge and return when the barge is loaded with fish." 2 people began to argue. One woman thought that it was a good idea to build a barge, but one man said, "There are more of us than there are of them. When those people come with the bananas, we'll take what we want," Santa responded. "The people won't want to trade with us after we do that," Bruce said. "Let's take a vote and let's give Santa 2 votes so that we don't have a deadlock." Everybody agreed and they voted. There were more votes for building the barge. That afternoon, they chopped down trees, gathered vines, and tied the tree trunks together with the vines. They worked all night. Occasionally, some people would rest for 3 hours while the other people worked. Then they would switch. Those who had been resting would work while the others rested. Boys and girls, after watching this video, make sure you complete lesson 42.